Hello everyone, for this video we're going to talk about deciles for ungrouped data. What is our learning target for this video? I can determine the deciles for ungrouped data, and these are the guide questions that hopefully you can answer after watching this video. Now let us have a short recall first that would be very beneficial in our steps later on in finding for desired decile for an ungrouped data. So what are the procedures in finding the value of our desired percentile, particularly for ungrouped data? So first one, we have rank the data. Next is determine the location of our desired percentile. And lastly, let us find P of C by counting over the ranked data. And now this time, let's talk about the last measure of position that we are going to deal with, and that is decile. Now first, how are we going to represent decile? So for first decile, we are going to write that as d of 1. And for second decile, we're going to write that as d of 2 and so on up until d of 9 or 9th decile. Now, let's be particular first with the definition of deciles. So we have your deciles are the score points that divide the distribution into 10 equal parts. Now, beforehand, we discussed quartiles wherein that divide the data into 4 equal parts. And for percentiles, that divides the data into 100 equal parts. Now, if you're going to consider or analyze the scenario, if the data is divided into 100 equal parts, then if we do have 100 equal parts here in front of us, we can divide those into 10 equal parts as well. And that we can conclude that 1 decile is equivalent to how many percentiles? So if we do have 100 equal parts, if we're going to divide it into 10, then we would have 1 decile is equivalent to 10 percentiles. And that is why stated here, the deciles are computed in the same way as the median and the percentiles were calculated. So that's the reason why as well I recalled all the steps that we use in getting the value of our desired percentile for ungrouped data a while ago. Now, let us have our short activity or practice exercise for decile for ungrouped data. So here, find the 4th decile, 7th decile, and 9th decile. So as mentioned a while ago, it is computed the same way we computed our percentile. Now, I think you can still remember the rules that I've given you before in our step 2 in dealing with the value of our desired percentile for ungrouped data, right? So we do have 2 rules if in case our P of C is an integer or not an integer. So you are supposed to apply that as well here in dealing with deciles. Now let's say we do have 15 students, and these are the scores of 15 students in a math test. So we are supposed to find out the D of 4, D of 7, and D of 9. A while ago, we analyzed, we got that 1 decile is equivalent to 10 percentile. So with that, you can use the steps, all the solutions that we used before in dealing with the percentiles for ungrouped data to solve for D of 4, D of 7, and D of 9, as long as you know the corresponding value or rank of this deciles we are supposed to solve in relation to our percentile. So that means if we're going to find out the 4th decile, that means it is equivalent to the 40th percentile of the given data. And if we are going to deal with D of 7, so of course this is equivalent to percentile 70 or 70th percentile. And lastly, for D of 9, this is equivalent to 90th percentile. Of course, let us solve first one by one. So let's get our 4th decile, which is equivalent to 40th percentile. So I'm gonna use the steps properly and systematically so that you will be guided. First is let us rank the data. So I'm gonna arrange all the scores from lowest score up to the highest score. So we do have 1 and 25. Now, step 2, let us find the location of our P of C or the desired percentile, which is P of 40. So here I'm gonna use the solutions that we use in getting the value of our percentile for ungrouped data. So here I'm gonna substitute, since we're dealing with P of 40, so our C would be 40, and 15, this refers to our N, or the total frequency of our data. So we have 15 students as mentioned in our title a while ago. So next is, of course, let's multiply 15 times 40 and then divided by 100. Then we got here P of 40 is 6. Okay, 6 class. Or okay, of course, we do have our rules stated there for our step 2. If our P of C is an integer or not an integer, what would be the rule that we are supposed to apply? So here in this case, since our answer, our P of 40 or P of C is a 6, therefore, we are supposed to follow our rule number 1, wherein we should add 0.5, and with that we can have 6.5 for P of 40. And with that, we can say the location of our desired percentile, which is P of 40, lies between the 6th and 7th terms. So how are we going to find out the P of 40? So based on our ranked data. So of course, let's gonna count where is our 6th and 7th term. So we have here 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So we do have 13 and 14. So how are we going to get the mean of these two values? So 13 plus 14 divided by 2. Then we do have 27 divided by 2. And lastly, we do have P of 40 is 13.5. But of course, guys, you need to look back and go back to your original problem. You are supposed to write your final answer based on the problem given. And you are looking for D of 4. And with that, you may rewrite your answer in decile form, and that is D of 4 equals 13.5, which is equivalent to your P of 40. And that's it, you're done. So aside from D of 4, we are asked to find out as well the D of 7. Of course, you should know what is the equivalent percentile first of D of 7. So that is P of 70. And with that, you may now proceed with your arranging the data from lowest to highest. And then next to that is determine the location of your desired percentile, which is P of 70. So of course, let's gonna use the same formula, NC over 100. But guys, if you are not that comfortable, you are going to use the formula in finding the location or position of the desired decile. You may use that as well. You may use NC divided by 10. You would arrive with the same answer anyway. But I'm just gonna stick with what is mentioned in our description a while ago, that we can still solve for deciles even though we are going to use the methods that we used in getting the percentiles for ungrouped data. And going back, so we have 15 for our N, 70 for our desired percentile. Now 15 times 70, it's 1050 divided by 100. We would have 10.5. And here in our step number 2, what are we supposed to follow? Is it rule number 1 or rule number 2? As you can see, P of 70 is 10.5, wherein it is not an integer. And based on our rule, if it is not an integer, then we should move to the next higher integer. So what's next to 10.5? It should be higher integer to that, or next higher integer to 10.5, and that would be 11 term. Okay, and with that, let us now count or find the P of 70 here in our ranked data, wherein this refers to our 11th term, and that is 20. And of course, let's go back originally with what is asked, and that is D of 70, which is equal to 20 as well. Next is D of 9. So same process, guys. Let's look for the equivalent percentile first, and that is P of 90, and then move on to ranking the data, and then find the location of P of 90 using our formula NC over 100, and we would have 15 times 90, and with that 1350 divided by 100, then we would have 13.5. And once again, Since we got not an integer here for p of 90, therefore we are supposed to apply our second rule, and that is go on with your next higher integer to 13.5, and that would be 14th term. And now let's look and find out or count the 14th term in our ranked data, and there we go, we have 23. So P of 90 is 23, or basically our answer would be D of 9 equals 23. And as easy as that, you're done. Okay, so for our practice exercise, so I'm gonna provide you an activity wherein you are going to solve for your answer, and you may pause the video for a while, and if you're done answering, you may now resume watching to check your answer. So this would be our second problem. So determine the seventh decile in the distribution of mathematics ratings in grade 10 class. So again, you resume watching the video if you are done with your answer for rechecking. So here's our answer for that problem. So hopefully you get correct answer. So thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you learned about deciles for ungrouped data. Thank you so much again for watching.